I posted a study here, a study that a lot of people got heated about. They got ticked off. They said, Ricky, what the hell are you talking about? I can't take this with nothing more than a grain of salt. Okay, the study showed that single joint isolation exercises did hardly anything. And a lot of people said, well, listen here, Ricky B. All right, well, let's just get through some of these questions that people asked. I was answering them via text, and I said, this is a waste of time. Let's just make a video and talk about this in an open forum, a discussion, if you may. One person says, well, Rick Delhagen, if you did a workout of weighted chains and you believed, would you believe it'd be pointless to do curls afterwards? Okay. He said, or tricep push-downs when you've already done weighted dips. Listen, curls, that was a heated one that people brought up. They're saying, wait a second, you're telling me that curls are pointless? Listen, guys, curls are, there's a million variations of curls, right? A million variations of curls. Let's just grab some dumbbells here, for example. I want you to look at something. I want you to look at, if I'm doing a curl, right? I want you to look at my traps, right? Or if, let's say these were heavier, and I just grabbed dumbbells, but barbell curls would be ideal. Now there's ways you can do curls, right? You could do whatever you have, light dumbbells, you could do curls like this, right? Where it's truly single joint. Or you could have heavy weight, where you're shrugging your shoulders, your traps are involved. You're doing them simultaneously. Heavy barbell, right? Where your core is engaged, your upper back is engaged. It's heavy, your forearms are working like hell. Do you understand what I'm saying? Heavy barbell curls, in my opinion, are not a single joint movement, right? Your upper back is working, right? If they're truly, one person even said, cheat curls, what am I gonna keep doing? Oh, cheat curls are the ultimate multi-joint movement. You have a hip hinge, right? A hip extension, you're shrugging. Watch strict curl competitions. How do these guys move the most weight? They shrug and upright row into the curl. Watch Larry Wheels when he curled the 230 some pounds, whatever he did. He literally was using like majority of his upper back to get that in. See, that is a great movement. You're not just working your biceps. You know what's not a great movement? This. This is a waste of time. So I will have to concur that doing this after you're doing your heavy boom barbell sheet curls, right? Those concentration curls are gonna do jack diddly, right? Or if you're doing your chin-ups and then doing these afterwards, these concentration curls are gonna do jack diddly for you, right? But barbell curls, guys, that's almost an entire upper body exercise. Barbell curls are money. And then he's also said the tricep push-downs when you've already done weighted dips. Well, listen, yeah, weighted dips are money for triceps. Now, how are you doing your push-downs? You're just doing them like this, it's the same idea. This is gonna be far less, this is gonna be far inferior to, for instance, if I'm doing like a skull crusher or something, right? And I'm getting a little bit of that, right? Shoulder extension, flexion, right? On top of, right? Your elbow extension. You're getting multi-joint, right? Multi-joint movement. You're gonna be working the long head of the triceps more, right? You're gonna be engaging more muscle groups, therefore more metabolic stress, and right? It's a better anabolic environment for your body, in my opinion, right? But yes, in that, it's just a case of exercise selection, right? You can pick truly an isolation exercise, go out the machine, right? The machine, preacher, triceps extension, right? Or you could do it for standing, right? Where you're getting more joints involved. It's just exercise selection. The machines, for the most part, are gonna be garbage. They're gonna be a waste of time. Now, that's not to say that they're a total waste. One person asked, well, didn't you say hamstring curls were good for the knee, like for ACL? Yeah, and the machines, if I'm not mistaken, were originally developed for rehab, physical therapy stuff, right? Because it's good for that. Like for instance, when I had my knee reconstruction, all right, my ACL, my meniscus, my VMO muscle wasn't firing because I was immobilized for so long that it atrophied to the core. And that VMO is key for the knee stability. So in that case, a knee extension is good to really isolate that VMO. But if we're talking for strength and size, that's not gonna trump doing squats or hack squats or any multi-joint thing. Any multi-joint movement, right? And it's not to say it's not gonna do anything, but the whole thing I've been preaching for the longest time is why waste your time with something that's giving you less bang for your buck? it goes back to the analogy that I just made yesterday, right? I want to hit as many birds with this one stone as I can. So why would I do, well, I got one stone to hit this one muscle group right here, when I could squat, hit it as well, as long, being that it's firing, right? Because that's the thing with the physical therapy. You got to get a muscle firing again after it's had trauma and had surgically repaired, right? But all being equal, you have one Dorian Yates versus another Dorian Yates. One Dorian Yates is doing his blood and guts training where he's mostly doing his compound movements very heavy, right? I just watched it to confirm it. The majority of the stuff he does is compound movements. Sure, he'll throw in, right, his isolated machine curl, right, or his leg curls and stuff like that. But at the same time, he's also doing, right, he's doing his Yates rows, right? He's doing his RDLs, those types of things too. So what was really getting more bang for the buck? And that comes to the argument, well, bodybuilders have been doing, you know, this stuff plus the isolation for years. But the thing is, we have no way of knowing how they would have progressed if they'd done the exact same volume of work, say doing, for instance, what's a good example? A million, like machine preacher curl, the concentration curls, you know, 3 sets of this, 3 sets of this, 3 sets of whatever, standing barbell curl. What if they just did 9 sets of barbell curls? We don't know. But it's food for thought. And if this one study can show that that little isolation stuff didn't add much to the multi-joint movements, I mean, that's one step closer to knowing that you probably shouldn't throw the BS on top of the good stuff. Everybody knows the multi-joint movements are the good stuff. Now, you could make the argument, well, the joints can't handle all the abuse of the heavy multi-joint movements. But then again, it's not to say that doing like these, you know, triceps push downs aren't causing any stress in the elbow, right? So it's just finding a different alternative. What would feel better? Would JM presses feel better than, you know, just isolating, locked in, doing that triceps extension? You know what I mean? It's just finding alternatives that are working more muscle groups. Because it all comes down to the bang for the buck. Of course, you could live in the gym and do tons of isolation stuff all day, and the amount of volume would lead to growth. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just, what's going to hit the most birds with your stone? Another one, people saying, should you stop doing curls and lateral raises? Well, no, because again, you should stop doing curls in a certain manner, like on a machine, for instance, where you're locked in and isolated. It's not a natural movement pattern. You know, our bodies are designed to lift corpses, several corpses and boulders and things of that, logs and things of that sort. So how can you replicate that? And that comes down to like the dinosaur training. Like, this is how we, you know, just get strong with dinosaur training. The machines aren't going to lead to real strength, really. You might get a good blood flow there from, you know, locked in, hitting a bunch of reps in this, but that's not going to carry over well. And in fact, you're probably just going to get injured if you do a ton of that stuff because things aren't firing the way they should be. I believe it was in the NFL, some team or whatever, when like the Nautilus machines were becoming the craze and they switched from barbells to machines and all that, and the team suffered dramatic, you know, performance decrease and injuries through the roof and all that. Can't remember exactly. I know I read about that at some point in time. Because I've been trying to do the biggest multi-joint movements for the past 10 years. I trained from 11 until I was about 22, strictly doing Gold's Gym and Arnold bodybuilding workouts and stuff. And it wasn't until I started doing, you know, powerlifting movements and variations of them, and then incorporating partials of the powerlifting movements and all that kind of stuff, that with all else being equal, the same type of diet, the same everything, I put like 10 pounds on just through changing that and got substantially stronger. One person asked me, how would doing bodybuilding training through these past 20 plus years that I've been training versus what I've been doing, how would I look different aesthetically? And honestly, I think I would look worse because I would be weaker and I would have a worse foundation to work off of, right? I can handle more volume at a higher intensity because I'm stronger. And I'm not wasting my time doing isolation stuff, really. Like, for the most part, a lot of the machines, I have this pressing fly machine there that I bought because, like, the pump is great, but Mama knows. I did that for like a month at one point, right? Nothing but that machine, and I got weak and I got small. I did. Whole body, probably because there's no metabolic stress on my body, right? It wasn't, it wasn't conducive to getting jacked. Whereas if you're just doing one machine there, and I know it's stupid and you can't compare, but if you're just doing one machine here versus just doing a deadlift, compare machine A to deadlift, or let's even say that to a bench press. Well, I've been bench pressing for like 4 months now, and right, biceps, you can see my biceps are firing and twitching when I'm doing heavy, like more things are working. Your lats are engaged, you know what I mean? Like your scapuloplasty pinch, your rhomboids are working, your glutes are engaged for leg drive and all that, versus sitting in the machine, a cozy machine, and you know what I mean? Like bang for buck wise, well, why would I ever do that when I could just bench press? I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, jeez Louise. So yeah, another one was that, you think elite IFBB pros will look the same just doing closed chain lifts. You're dreaming, there's more than strength, whatever. Would they look the same? Well, I mean, would they look the same? Listen, they probably would look the same, and they'd probably spend less time in the gym, and they would probably be stronger than they are. I think a lot of times bodybuilders have a reputation now of being weak. They just have popcorn muscles, right? They're just swollen from all the intracellular fluid, all the glycogen that's stored in their muscles, right? But that's I think that's where the reputation of being weak is, because they're focusing so much on these machines and all these machines where, yes, their muscles are getting swollen, but would their muscles be just as swollen doing barbell curls, and they'd probably be stronger? And a lot of times people say that the bodybuilders in like the golden era, they looked better development and they had less drugs and all that stuff. Well, because a lot of times, they're using more free weights. They didn't have all these fancy machines. You go to gyms now, and the majority of the gym, 90% weird ass fancy machines, right? And there might be 2 squat racks there. Whereas back in the day, it's just dumbbells laying everywhere, right? I think that really about injury prevention. That's the only thing I would say good about machines is, right? For instance, like I had knee reconstructive surgery. So, like doing a leg curl before I go to do an RDL, just to get them firing because the muscles haven't been firing. It'd be good to isolate them, kind of wake them up. Like I said, the VMO muscle's not firing. Okay, do your knee extension just to get the VMO muscles warmed up before you go to do the squats. Right? Things of that sort. I think that's a good place for where machines fit. Or if you have tendonitis or something, if anything can get some good blood flow there, that's minimal stress. I think that's about the only purpose. But again, the moral of the story is basically, if you're going to go to the gym and you have 1 hour, don't bother doing, the curls is the easiest one. Do barbell curls. Just do barbell curls. Right? If you're gonna do arms, that's a good example. If you have an hour to go to the gym and you're gonna do arms, do barbell curls. Do chin ups, right? Do skull crushers, right? Behind the head skull crushers, that kind of stuff. Do dips, right? Don't do triceps push downs. Don't do the machine push downs. Don't do the machine preacher curls. Don't do the concentration curls, that kind of stuff. And I think everyone can agree that kind of stuff is a waste of time. And really, I think that's the good point of this video in the first place. It's not to say that there's no place for isolation exercises. It's just that in the grand scheme of things, you're going to get more out of multi-joint exercises, right? Because if you really think about it, like the best example that people were saying was the curl. But is a curl really just a single joint exercise? Depends on how you do it. But if you're actually lifting like a man, then you're going to be getting your upper back involved in it too. And another thing too is somebody was saying about laterals. Like, well, should I stop doing laterals? Well, it's not that laterals are ineffective, but why would you do laterals when you could, for instance, say do an upright row? Like, just do it whatever feels good for you, and whatever grip that is, whatever width that is, whatever range of motion that is, where you can be working your lateral delts on top of your traps more, on top of your biceps more, right? Upper back. You know what I'm saying? Just getting more muscle groups involved with the effort. You're putting the same effort in. Why not just work a job? It's like you're working 3 different jobs, right? One job pays you more money, and then the other jobs don't pay you as much. And you have the choice to work whatever job you want. Why wouldn't you just work the one job that pays you more money? Put more time into that job that pays you more money.